Return on your investment? Sure, maybe real estate or stock market, but not your car. The moment you drive off, it depreciates. Stay tuned and find out why. So who doesn't like to invest? Everyone knows about investments all around the world. Stocks, real estate, crypto. But the reality is the one investment that we always assume is investment is not, and that's buying a car. The moment you buy a car and you drive it off the lot, you've lost 13% right off the bat. The moment you drive it off the lot. Done. Finito. I have a client that called me one time and said, I bought a car for my wife. She doesn't like it. Really? What's wrong with it? Well, I didn't test drive it first, and it's got a bad turn ratio, so she hates it. And she's owned it for 2 days, and she wants me to return it. I took it back to the dealership, and they're giving me a ridiculous number. Really? Explain. Well, it's a Mercedes SL 500. I paid $98,000 for it. Okay, what's the problem? Well, 2 days later, with only 72 miles on it, all of a sudden they want to give me $28,000 less in 2 days. There you go. $28,000 from 98. That is, woof. That's a tough pill to swallow, right? Well, that's reality. And that's a Mercedes. So when you own a car for 3 to 5 years, in the long term, you'll end up depreciating 20 to 25%. A lot of people don't understand that the right way to buy a car is to pretend you're going to sell it. That's when you know it's not an investment. So before you buy your car, ask yourself, if I sold this car tomorrow, what is the resale value? How do I know that? Well, National Highway Safety Association, Administration, Edmunds.com. You can also go to KBB.com and look at what the value of that car is. Also, another little hack that you can do is just call and say, I'd like to lease this car. And leasing a car, what happens is they take the residual resale value 3 years ahead from the day you're going to buy, and they base the payments on that. And you can ask them, okay, so you told me $375 or $315 a month lease for the next 3 years for this car. What are you basing the value to be at? And they'll tell you straight up, oh, it's going to be $19,300. And you ask yourself, wow, but the sticker price is $37 right now. So in 3 years, it's at $19. So do I really want to buy this car because I'm not going to get any money back for it? And the other misconception people have is, if you buy a car, a brand new car, and it's not a good resale car, and God forbid you get into an accident, what ends up happening is the insurance company is going to give you very little, probably 25 cents to 35 cents on the dollar. Imagine that, because that car is not a strong resale. So now, what do? Brand new car, you owe the money on it, and it's crashed, it's totaled. And by the way, it wasn't even your fault, but the insurance and lawyers are involved, and all of a sudden, it's worthless. And now you owe the difference. You owed $25,000, $30,000 for the car, it got totaled, and now what's left? You're being offered $15,000, $16,000. You got to make up the difference out of your pocket. Bad position to be in. So what do? Do I not buy a car? No, not at all. You can buy a car, but make sure you understand the resale value of that car. Is it a strong resale? So when you buy a car, despite what we've talked about before of functionality, make sure that the car you're about to buy has a good resale value. That way, you know that you've got the slight unspoken insurance policy that if you do get into an accident or you do decide to sell it a year later, you never know, life is full of surprises, all of a sudden there's a problem, you need to unload the car. What will you get for this car? Well, if it loses 13% from the beginning, not very much if it's a very poor resale valued vehicle. So make sure that you do the math and understand that the car you're going to buy has a good resale value. Secondly, when you buy a vehicle and it's brand new, the resale is very weak because you lose 13%. When you buy used, sometimes it goes almost to 18% because you change second hand, third hand. So do a Carfax. Make sure you do a Carfax and see how many owners the vehicle has had before you. So that way you can base, wait a minute, this vehicle has had 4 owners prior to me. Now I'm the 5th owner. But they're asking X amount of dollars, but I also know that it depreciates. Why am I overpaying? It gives you leverage to negotiate, to say, wait a minute, I'm not paying you this. This car is really worth this much. Why are you overcharging? So it gives you that empowerment to also know, to question, why am I paying for this price when I know that this car has a bad resale value to begin with? So they're overcharging you. But again, it all boils down to you wanting something versus needing. Based on investment, what is an investment? It's for future ROI. With a car, there is no ROI at all. So you're buying it today to use it today. And when it's done, it's done. Sure, you'll get some money back for it, but you need to make sure that you save all your receipts, because when you go sell a vehicle that doesn't have a good resale value or it's depreciated, all the receipts that you've saved from all the repairs, tires you replaced, oil changes, maintenance, all that adds the value for your buyer. So the buyer says, hey, I want to buy this car, but the resale value says it's this much. You now can turn around and go, yes, I agree with you, but here's proof. Here's a file full of all the services I've done. I've vested beyond the actual value of the purchase of the car, that I've put the money in, repaired it, changed the tires, maintained it, spark plugs, tune-ups, every oil leak I took care of, brakes, whatever it needed, I took care of it. So you're buying a car that is of value. Now, despite the resale being weak, you as the seller can show proof with all the valuable receipts to say, I know it's worth $10,000, but I really would like to have 12 because look at all these receipts that I've put into this car, and it gives you a little bit better leverage. So remember, a car is not an investment. Do not buy a car based on it's going to give me big resale value because it's a Porsche or it's a BMW. That also is another factor to take into. A lot of Edmunds or Consumer Reports will give you resale points. If you go to consumerreports.com, you can actually see what is the resale for this vehicle that you're about to buy. It'll give you percentages, 20%, 30%, 40%. Choose that based on the functionality you also need. Together as a team, now you've got the right car. Despite the fact that it's not a good investment, at least it's going to give you some money back and you won't be what's called upside down. There's nothing worse than being upside down in a car. You owe all that money, and now what do you have? 4 wheels and a paperweight. Till the next time.